You walk into your bathroom, flip on the light, and the smell reaches you before you even see the bowl. You scrub it, you bleach it, you spray something blue and sharp that stings your eyes, and 2 days later, it is right back, like your hands never touched it at all. I lived that way for 30 years. I thought a clean toilet meant a strong chemical and a stronger arm. I was wrong about both. The real Japanese method I learned is not about scrubbing harder or buying a meaner cleaner. It is a small daily ritual, finished in under 3 minutes, that keeps the bowl spotless forever and quietly changed far more than my bathroom. In Japan, they call this kind of cleaning soji, and they treat it as something closer to prayer than to chores. By the end of this, I will tell you about a man named Hidesaburo Kagiyama, who built a company worth millions, then spent his mornings on his knees cleaning public toilets with his bare hands. What he discovered is the turning point of my whole story. And I promise you, none of this asks you to kneel, to strain, or to spend a single dollar. It works just as well at 70 as it does at 40. I still remember the exact morning it broke me. It was a gray Tuesday, and I was sitting on the cold tile of my own bathroom, rubber gloves on, a bottle of bleach beside me, crying because my wrist hurt too much to keep scrubbing. That was the lowest point. That was where this began. Let me take you back to how I got there, because I think you might recognize yourself in it. For most of my adult life, I believed the cleaning aisle. I believed that if my toilet still smelled, I simply had not bought the right product yet. So I bought more. I had a cabinet under the sink that could barely close. Blue gels, green sprays, tablets that turned the water a strange color and promised they would do the work for me while I slept. I spent, by my own rough count, close to $400 a year on cleaning products, year after year, decade after decade, and the smell always came back. That is the part nobody warned me about. I was killing germs, sure, but I was not solving the actual problem, and the actual problem is so simple that once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A toilet does not get dirty all at once. It gets dirty in thin, invisible layers, a little more each day. By the time you can see the ring or smell the odor, that buildup is already days deep and bonded to the porcelain. So you bring out the heavy chemicals and the hard scrubbing, and you tear the top layer off, and you feel like you won, but you only reset the clock. The layers start building again the moment you walk away. I was fighting a war once a week that should have been a 30-second piece kept every single day. I did not figure that out on my own. I want to be honest with you about that. I figured it out because of a woman named Aiko, the mother of a friend, who hosted me for 11 days in a small house outside the city of Kanazawa. And the first thing I noticed in her home was the thing that started everything. Her bathroom had no smell. None. Not a chemical cover-up smell, not a floral spray pretending, just nothing. The way clean air has no story to tell. And when I finally worked up the nerve to ask her what products she used, she looked at me, a little confused, and said she did not really use products. She used a cloth, some water, and 90 seconds every morning. I did not believe her. I thought she was being modest, or that something was lost in translation. But over those 11 days, I watched her, and what I saw changed how I clean for the rest of my life. Here is what she did, and here's the history behind why it works, because the why is what finally made me trust it. In Japan, the habit of treating the toilet as a sacred, cared-for space goes back centuries, all the way to the Edo period, which ran from 1603 to 1868. Back then, in a crowded city like Old Edo, human waste was not thrown away. It was collected and sold to farmers as fertilizer. A household's waste actually had value, and the right to collect it was bought and traded. A clean, well-kept privy was not a shameful corner of the home. It was a working part of the household economy, tended with real respect, but it went deeper than money. In the old Shinto belief, there was a deity of the toilet called Kawaya no Kami, the god of the privy. Families believed this god lived in that small room and watched over the health of the household, especially over childbirth. Pregnant women were told to keep the toilet spotless because a clean toilet was said to bless them with a healthy, beautiful baby. So, for hundreds of years, this one small room was not the lowest place in the house. In a quiet way, it was one of the most spiritual. Aiko grew up inside that idea, even if she would never have used those words. To her, cleaning the toilet was not a punishment or a dreaded chore. It was a daily moment of order she gave to herself. And the method that came out of that mindset is almost embarrassingly simple. She kept a small cloth and a little spray bottle of plain water mixed with a splash of vinegar right there in the bathroom. Every single morning, before anything built up, she wiped the seat, the rim, the lid, and the base, top to bottom, in less than 2 minutes. Because there was never any buildup, there was never anything to fight. The porcelain stayed perfect because it was never allowed to become imperfect in the first place. I started doing it her way on the 4th morning of my stay. And I felt the first crack in everything I thought I knew. But here's where my story takes a darker turn and where I started to get angry. Because when I came home, I realized I had been sold a lie my entire adult life, and I want you to understand who shaped it. The whole model I had been living by, scrub hard once a week with a powerful chemical, was not built to keep my toilet clean. It was built to keep me buying. Think about it honestly with me. If the answer is a cloth, some water, and 2 minutes a day, there is almost nothing to sell you. No subscription, no special tablet, no bottle to replace every 3 weeks. But if the answer is a heavy weekly battle against buildup, then you need a strong product, and you run out of that product, and you come back to the store again and again and again. I am not saying anyone sat in a room and plotted against my bathroom. I am saying the advice I absorbed for 30 years came mostly from people who profited when I waited until things got bad. The longer I waited, the worse it got, the more product I needed. My neglect was the business model, and I never questioned it, because everyone around me cleaned the same way, fighting the same losing weekly war, spending the same hundreds of dollars a year. When that landed on me, I felt foolish. But underneath the foolishness, I felt something better. I felt free. Because if the problem was that simple, then so was the fix. And the fix was already in my hands. So I rebuilt my routine from the ground up. And I want to walk you through exactly what I changed step by careful step, because this is the part you can start tonight. The first thing I learned was that the order matters. Aiko always cleaned from the cleanest surface to the dirtiest, never the other way around. She started with the lid and the tank, then the seat, then the rim, then the bowl, then the outside base last. This way you never drag the germs from the dirtiest spot up onto a cleaner one. I had spent years doing it backward, wiping the bowl and then the seat with the same cloth, basically smearing the problem around. Such a small change, such a different result. The second thing was the cloth itself. I gave up paper towels almost entirely. Aiko used soft cotton cloths, the kind cut from old, worn-out clothing, and she had a stack of them. One quick wipe, then straight into a small covered pail, then washed and reused. The Japanese have a beautiful word, motteinai, which carries the feeling of regret over waste, a sense that throwing away something still useful is almost a small sin. Those cloths cost me nothing, because they came from a worn pillowcase and 2 old undershirts. In 1 year, I stopped buying paper towels for the bathroom completely, and I never missed them. The third thing was the water and vinegar mix instead of the harsh stuff, and the reason surprised me. Plain white vinegar is mildly acidic, and the dull mineral film and light buildup that forms in a toilet is alkaline. The acid quietly dissolves the alkaline film. It is not a violent chemical reaction. It is gentle, but done daily. Before anything hardens, it keeps the porcelain so smooth that nothing gets a chance to grip. A bottle of vinegar cost me a few dollars in last months. I traded $400 a year for almost nothing. And within 2 weeks of cleaning this new way, my own bathroom had no smell. Just like hers. I stood in the doorway one evening and breathed in, and there was nothing. And I almost laughed out loud at how long I had made this hard. That was a real win, and I want you to feel how good it felt, because you are going to feel it too. And if you want to go even deeper into the full system, the daily sequences, the seasonal protocols, and the room-by-room methods I rebuilt from scratch after those 11 days in Kanazawa, I put all of it into a guide called the Japanese Home Method. It is the most complete thing I have ever written, and it covers not just the bathroom, but every corner of the home, step by, careful step, the way Aiko would have done it. You can find the link in the description below, and it is there whenever you are ready for it. But let me bring you back to the heart of what I was uncovering, because something kept nagging at me even after the bathroom was clean. The clean bathroom was wonderful. It was not the thing that actually changed my life. The thing that changed my life was hiding inside the routine, and I did not notice it until weeks later when I caught myself doing something I had never done before. I will get to that. But first I need to speak directly to some of you, because I know exactly who is listening right now and feeling a quiet ache of doubt. Maybe you are sitting there thinking this is fine for a woman who is healthy enough to kneel and wipe and bend. Maybe your knees do not let you get down to the floor anymore. Maybe your back locks up when you lean over the bowl. Maybe your hands are not as strong as they were, and the very thought of more cleaning even a little makes you tired. Maybe you are telling yourself that at your age, with your body, it is simply too late to change how you live. I want you to hear me, because I have stood almost exactly where you are standing. There was a stretch in my early 60s when I genuinely believed my best days were behind me. I had a frozen shoulder so bad I could not reach the top shelf of my own kitchen. I told myself I was just old now, that this was the deal, that I should accept it and stop expecting more. I believed that for almost a year, and I was completely wrong. What proved me wrong was not some grand exercise program. It was this tiny daily ritual, and the way it was designed for a body that does not move easily. Let me give you a version of this you can start today, with no kneeling, no straining, no equipment, and no money spent. You do not have to get on the floor, keep a long-handled cloth holder, or even just a cloth wrapped around the end of a wooden spoon right beside the toilet. You stay standing. Each morning, while you're already in there anyway, you give the seat and the rim one slow wipe with a damp cloth. 10 seconds. That is the entire commitment. You are not deep cleaning. You are simply not letting the buildup begin. The whole genius of this method is that it removes the need for the hard work, the kind your body cannot do anymore, by making sure the hard work is never necessary in the first place. A frail person who wipes for 10 seconds a day will always have a cleaner toilet than a strong person who scrubs for an hour once a month. Always. Because the buildup never wins the early battle. This method does not reward strength. It rewards gentleness and consistency, which are exactly the things that grow in us as we age, not the things we lose. And here is the part I did not expect. The part that connects to that frozen shoulder. When I made this small ritual a fixed point in my morning, it became an anchor. A tiny, achievable thing I completed before the day could overwhelm me. On hard mornings when my body felt like a stranger, this one small finished task told me I was still someone who could care for her own home and her own self. That feeling is not small. For someone afraid of losing independence, that feeling is everything. So please, do not close this off in your mind by deciding you are too far gone. The whole reason this tradition has lasted for centuries is that it was always meant for ordinary people in ordinary bodies on ordinary days. It was never built for the young and strong. It was built for everyone. But I told you the clean bathroom was not the real change. So let me bring you to the man I promised you at the very start, because his story is where this stops being about toilets at all. His name is Hidesaburo Kagiyama. He was born in Japan in 1933 into real poverty, and he built an automotive supply company called Yellow Hat into a large and successful business. By every normal measure, he had made it. He could have spent his mornings any way a wealthy man chooses to. Instead, he got down on his hands and knees and cleaned toilets, public restrooms, filthy ones, the kind everyone avoids. He did it with his bare hands and a brush, scrubbing the parts most people will not even look at, and he did not do it once for a photograph. He did it for years. And then in 1993, he founded a group whose name translates roughly to the Association to Learn from Cleaning. People joined him, business leaders, school teachers, ordinary workers, all of them kneeling in public toilets together at dawn, cleaning them until they gleamed. When I first read about this, I thought it was strange, maybe even a little extreme. Why would a successful man choose the dirtiest possible task? But the more I read his own words, the more it cracked me open. Kagiyama taught that cleaning a toilet, the lowest and most humbling place, does 5 things to a person. It grows humility, because you cannot feel proud while kneeling over a dirty bowl. It softens the heart, because care for a hidden, thankless place teaches you a deeper kind of attention. It makes you notice small things, because to clean well, you must see what everyone else ignores. It creates gratitude, and it brings a quiet that he believed steadied the whole rest of your life. He had a simple phrase for it. He said that when you clean the toilet, you also clean your heart. Now, I will admit, the old me would have rolled her eyes at that. But by the time I read it, I'd already been living the small daily ritual for a couple of months, and I had felt the exact thing he was describing without having any words for it. Here's what I had caught myself doing, the thing I mentioned earlier. One ordinary morning mid-wipe, I realized I was not rushing. I was not gritting my teeth to get a hated chore over with. I was simply there, fully there, paying calm attention to one small task, and my mind was quiet in a way it almost never was. No worry about money, no aching list of everything undone, just the cloth, the porcelain, the 2 minutes. It had become, without my permission, a small meditation. The one place in my whole frantic day where I did exactly one thing and nothing else. And that quiet did not stay in the bathroom. It leaked out into my mornings. I started moving through the early hours with less of the jangled behind before I begin feeling I had carried for years. I had stumbled into what Kagiyama spent his life teaching. The lowest task in the house had become the steadiest part of my mind. That is the secret hiding inside the Japanese method, and it is the thing no cleaning product on earth can sell you. The real reward is not the spotless bowl. The real reward is who you become by tending to it with care. Every single day. On purpose. There is even a piece of this that reached all of Japan in a way I love. In 2010, a singer named Kana Uemura released a song called Tware no Kami-sama, which means the toilet god. It was based on her real grandmother, who told her as a little girl that there was a beautiful goddess living in the toilet, and that if she cleaned it well every day, she would grow up to be a beautiful woman herself. That song became enormous in Japan. It was not really about the toilet at all. It was about a grandmother passing down patience, humility, and care through the humblest task in the house. The whole nation wept over it because they all recognized the truth in it. So now let me give you the finale, the practice that pulled all of this together for me, the one I want you to actually try this weekend. I found it woven through Kagiyama's teachings and through the old way Aiko lived. And once I named it for myself, everything clicked into place. I call it the 3-minute morning tending, and here is exactly how you do it. First, you do it at the same time every single day, ideally first thing in the morning before the day has a chance to fill up. The fixed time is what turns it from a chore into an anchor. You are not waiting until it looks dirty. You are tending it before it ever could be. Second, before you begin, you take one slow breath and you decide, on purpose, that for these 3 minutes you will think about nothing but the task in front of you. This is the part everyone skips, and it is the part that changes you. You are not just cleaning porcelain. You are practicing a calm, undivided mind. The toilet is simply the place you happen to practice it. Third, you work from clean to dirty, lid and tank first, then seat, then rim, then bowl, then the base last, with a soft cloth and a little water and vinegar. Slow and gentle, no force. You are not attacking anything. You are caring for something. Fourth, when you finish, you pause for one more breath and you let yourself feel it. One small thing, begun and completed, with full attention, before the world asks anything of you. That feeling of a calm, finished task is the seed. Some mornings it will be the only fully peaceful moment in your whole day. Protect it. That is the entire method. It costs nothing. It takes 3 minutes. It asks for no strength, no kneeling if your body says no, no special product, no membership, nothing but a cloth and your willingness to be present. And if you do it every day for 2 weeks, I promise you will notice 2 things at once. Your bathroom will be perfect, with no smell and no ring and no buildup the way Aiko's was. And your mornings will feel a half step calmer, the way mine finally did after 30 years of doing it all wrong. The knowledge was never hidden in a vault. It was kept alive by grandmothers and by men like Kagiyama who knelt in public toilets at dawn while the world walked past. It survived in a Shinto belief older than anyone can trace, in a song that made a country cry, in a quiet woman outside Kanazawa who simply wiped a clean surface clean again every morning of her life. I found it, almost by accident, sitting broken on my own bathroom floor. It changed me, and now it is yours. What I was really handed that gray Tuesday was not a better way to clean. It was a small, daily way back to my own calm, hidden inside the humblest task in the house. You are the kind of person who's ready to stop being sold to and start taking your own days back into your own hands. I can tell, because you are still here with me. The same hands that have cared for so many other people all your life can give you these 3 quiet minutes every morning, and they will give so much back. So tell me one thing. And please actually leave it in a comment, because I read them and this audience is shy about speaking up. When was the last time a chore made you feel calmer instead of more tired? And which part of this story did you recognize from your own life? The overflowing cabinet of products, the smell that always came back, or the quiet fear that it might be too late to change anything? Tell me where you are watching from too. I love knowing who is on this journey with me. And if you want to keep walking it beside me, stay close. Because the next thing I am going to share with you is the Japanese morning habit that an old woman in that same town did before she ever touched her breakfast, the one that I now believe is the real reason she still moved like a woman half her age. I will be right here, and I would love for you to walk the rest of this road with me. You just saw why this works, but inside the circle, I take you all the way through the full daily soji ritual, picking up right where this video stopped. When you have a question, you ask me, and a real person me answers you myself. You won't be doing this alone. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen and you can cancel anytime with one click. Hope this little method makes things easier for you. If you'd like more simple cleaning tips like this one, just subscribe and stay with me. There's plenty more waiting for you right here.